All right, good morning. Thank you, Donna, for the introduction, and we will get started early. I did just want to mention, so Donna's going to be advancing my slides for me. At one point, I did have plans to do like a demonstration of the new search system. So Donna, we might just have to coordinate that when we get to that section, if that works for you. You can go ahead and advance the slides. And again. Okay, so first up today, I'm just going to give you a little overview of what we're going to go over. For those of you who have been in one of these presentations before, we do this pretty much every year to give an update about what has been going on in the milk program at FDA over the last year. Now, we don't have a lot of check rating insights or, insights from the field because, as with many of you, I have not been out in the field due to some COVID-19 restrictions, but we're going to do the best that we can to give you some updates about what's been going on. We're going to talk about some staffing changes because we've had quite a few lately. We're going to dig into some of the COVID-19 issues that we've been facing at FDA and how we've been managing that. We're going to talk about some of the most recent changes to the PMO and the highlights from the last NCIMS conference in 2019. We will do some updates as far as what's upcoming dates and events. And I'd like to do, like I said, a demo of the new milk search system that FDA has available online. And then we'll just end with some of my contact info if anybody needs to get in touch with me. You can go ahead and advance. Donna, can you advance the slides? Thanks. Okay, this guy right here is Dave Pierce. He is our new Milk Branch 1 director. You can advance the slides. Dave Pierce has recently been promoted to be our fearless leader here in Milk Branch 1. As you can see from the map, Milk Branch 1 covers all of the East Coast. Dave previously was a milk specialist like myself, and he had been in that role for many years, based out of Pennsylvania. He covered Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. And as of, I believe it was April of this past year, he was promoted to our director to fill that vacancy. And we are thrilled to have Dave in that role. He has probably been a familiar face to many of you. He did this presentation last year. He has been helping me cover quite a bit of work up here in the Northeast states since we've been short-staffed for so long. So very, very pleased for him. And next time you see him, please congratulate him on his new role. You can advance the slides, Donna. So Milk Branch 1, we have currently 5 milk specialists, 3 fully standardized milk specialists, myself, Mary Beth Willis in Georgia, and Cecil Mitchell in Virginia. With Dave's promotion, we have a vacancy in Pennsylvania, and we still have a vacancy up here in the Northeast that we're hoping to fill. But we have 2 new hires, which are very exciting. For those of you who are familiar, Kurt Greiner was located out of Georgia. Also, he recently got promoted into CIFSAN, into the milk and milk products branch there. So he is no longer with us in Branch 1, and we have hired Zachary Conlin out of Florida to replace him. Those of you, many of you have probably crossed paths with Zach. He is the previous program manager for the state of Florida. He's been around the NCIMS world for many, many years. He's also the president of NADRO, the National Association of Dairy Regulatory Officials. So you may have crossed paths with him there. But most importantly for this crowd is Justin Holder, who's going to be based out of Hartford, Connecticut. Justin started with us in February. And he comes from the state of Virginia. He is currently still living in Virginia because COVID-19 has thrown a wrench into his relocation plans, but hopefully he and his family will be relocating to Connecticut soon. I don't know when, but hopefully soon. And we will have him up here to help us cover some of our workload up here. So he'll be helping me in some of the New England states. And like I said, we have 2 vacancies still. So one is going to be to replace Dave Pierce in Pennsylvania, and the other is going to be located in New York. We're hoping those positions will post in the next couple of months, 2-3 months, and we're hoping they'll be filled sometime early next year, next spring, depending on what happens with the government. So we, those positions will most likely be located either in Syracuse or Albany. And if anybody has any questions about that, feel free to contact me. I'm happy to share any info about how to apply or answer any questions about the role. You can advance the slides. Okay, we also have some new branch specialists, milk specialists in branch 2. We have Anna Tucker and Sam Carter, both who joined us in February of this past year. Anna is located in Ohio, Columbus, Ohio. She comes to us from Michigan milk producers, and she is very well versed in the farm side of things and is going to be a great asset to our team. Sam Carter comes from the state of Oklahoma. He's going to be located in Oklahoma City. He also has many, many years of experience with the state dairy program out there. And again, very excited to have him on board. And most recently, we've hired Clint George out of Texas. He's going to be located in Dallas and again, has been a fixture around NCIMS for many, many years. Many of you have probably crossed paths with him. So he just started this past month and we're excited to have him on board as well. Next slide. And we have some new milk specialists in branch 3 as well. So we brought in Rob Vizzetti in Washington State. He's going to be located just outside of Seattle. Again, comes to us from the state of Washington, former SRO up there. Very excited to have him on board. And Anna Vickery is going to be located in Sacramento, California. She comes out of the state of Nevada's dairy program, has been around NCIMS again for many years, and just recently was in charge of the Western Dairy Seminar Planning Committee. And so we're very much looking forward to her bringing that expertise and experience to our team. So for those of you keeping count, that means we have hired 7 new milk specialists since February in 8 months. And we have 2 vacancies. So if we fill those vacancies, or at least post for those vacancies by the end of the year, which is our optimistic plan, we will have 9 new milk specialists on board in the last year. We only have about 20 or 21 fully staffed positions. So this is about half of our staff in the last year that is going to be new. And although we're absolutely thrilled to have all of them on board, we've never had this many milk specialists needing training and standardization all at once. Combining that with the travel restrictions around and limited field work around COVID-19, we are in a very challenging position, but we are, again, thrilled to have them on board and very excited to get them all up and running as soon as we can. Optimistically, we hope to have at least those who were brought on earlier in the year, so that includes Justin, Anna, and Sam Carter, to be up and running with at least by this time next year to be able to do check ratings, and hopefully the rest, I mean, if we can get them all up and running within the next year, that would be great, but who knows what's going to happen. We've fingers crossed. We're working as best we can around the restrictions we've got. Go ahead and advance the slides. All right, so speaking of COVID-19, go ahead and advance. And again, we're gonna talk about FDA's response and some of the challenges we've been facing around COVID-19 from FDA. So as I mentioned, we've had some travel restrictions. We, as of March 13th, we were directed to cease field operations and work from home indefinitely, basically. In July, the end of July, they cleared us for field work, but it's very restricted based on location. We have an internal GIS database system that is tracking case numbers and trending data similar to like the Johns Hopkins system that has data by county level and it's color coded. As of this morning, because it updates on Thursday mornings, 79% of counties in the US are color coded red, which means they're not traveling anywhere. They're not going to be out in the field at all. So that's roughly 80% of our staff as well. That's not going to be doing any field work right now. Luckily for us in the Northeast, we have been mostly in the yellow for the last few weeks. Assuming that stays, I will be trying to get out and do some field work in October and November of this year just to get some of our SROs back up and running. And I will be coordinating with the states to figure some of that out and work within the restrictions and safety protocols that everybody has in place. But hopefully I will be able to get out and do some work this year, and we'll play it by ear as it goes. Our system updates twice a week, so we've had to very much shorten our time frame of scheduling, that's for sure. Much different than we've operated in the past, where we've scheduled things out 6 months in advance. We just, as everybody knows, we can't operate that way right now. Also, as you know, COVID-19 has presented challenges to all of us in what we do and how we do it. And for FDA, that's no different. It has impacted both our ability to do regulatory work as well as our state partners and regulatory partners, including the third-party consultants and single service consultants. Over the past 6 months, we have been working with those partners to evaluate requests for program flexibility. The requests have ranged from the extension of a single lab certificate to a full pause of all grade A program activities due to inability to conduct fieldwork. Nearly 1/3 of all of our states were able to continue meeting all of their routine PMO grade A requirements and regulatory activities, but on the flip side, that means 2/3 of our states were not. Since March, we've had approximately 150 requests from 43 states and territories, I should say, in the grade A program, as well as 3 of the third-party consultants and single service consultants to adapt some sort of emergency consideration. The good news is that we're seeing most of our programs return to normal full operations. Of those 43 states and territories who submitted requests, nearly 80% have returned to full program operation or are only requesting a few limited listing or lab extensions. That means that about 16% or the 16% of the 43 states that requested emergency consideration, those programs still remain in full suspension. Some have indicated that this is just a precautionary measure. It gives them flexibility in scheduling their work plan and flexibility around resuming fieldwork, but we expect to see more states return to normal in the coming weeks. Go ahead, advance the slides. Advance again. So now we're going to dig into some of the NCIMS conference updates and PMO changes from the last conference. Advance the slides. There are just a few highlights that I want to talk about here today. I do encourage you to go and read or browse the IMSA 52, which is the most recent IMSA that talks about all of the program updates and proposals that were submitted to the conference, the NCIMS conference, and how those proposals, the action the conference took on them. So if you want the details, the IMSA 52 has all of those details for you. But for today, we're just going to go through a few updates. Advance the slides. And again. So first up is the biggest change and the biggest impact to most of our day-to-day work, at least my day-to-day work, is the implementation of the grade A, non-grade A dairy pilot program. And this was introduced to the NCIMS through Proposal JC1. It is an initiative to streamline the way we regulate both grade A dairy and non-grade A dairy in facilities that manufacture both in the same facility. So these are facilities that manufacture fluid milk but also do ice cream mix, or they are cheese plants that also have grade A whey. And the grade A whey is considered under our program, but the cheese is not. So we're trying to streamline the way we deal with those facilities in an effort to not only make our program more efficient, but as a response to the many requests we've gotten from states and industry that this is the direction that they want to go. I do just want to say right off the bat that we are committed to the pilot. Regardless of what's happening with COVID-19, we are going to continue the pilot. It may have an extended time frame to get that pilot done, because originally we were hoping to have all of the pilot inspections done by December of this year, and we haven't been able to do hardly any inspections this year because of COVID-19. So, but we are committed to continuing it. There are 8 states in the pilot. They're split between 2 different versions of the pilot based on how the states regulate their non-grade A dairy products. And I just also wanted to mention, we're talking specifically non-grade A dairy here. We're not talking non-dairy. So if you have a fluid milk plant that also makes soy milk, we're not dealing with that, and we're not dealing with juice HACCP right now. We are dealing with non-grade A dairy products. The option A programs are the states that have contracts with FDA, and they do their own contract inspections through FDA on the non-grade A side. And the option B states are the states that don't have contracts with FDA, where FDA comes in and does those inspections themselves. So for the option A states in the pilot, we have California, Connecticut, Oregon, Texas, and Wisconsin. And for option B, we have 3 states, Ohio, Vermont, and Virginia. And we were able to get 2 inspections done in February before our field work was shut down. And one of those was an option B facility in Ohio that went very, very well, considering everything, being one of the first ones. And we had an option A inspection in Wisconsin. Both went very well, and we're hoping to get back out and do some more in the field when we're allowed to get out and resume field work at a more normal level. Okay. You can advance the slides. And again. Another main big change to the PMO that's going to affect some field work is the new inline sampling system from Piper. This is a built-in tanker system that has begun to see some regular usage in several Northeast states. Piper is the manufacturing company. They brought this system to the NCIMS conference. Well, they brought it to New York, and New York did a lot of work in helping them get ready for the conference and do all the background research and information that they needed to get this ready, to this proposal ready. And it was brought to the conference, and it was incorporated into the PMO. So this is a new system that you'll see starting in the field. There's already some tankers in use. And I'll be the first one to say I am not the most well-versed in this Piper system, but I know there's people on this call that are we're almost directly involved in this, and there's plenty of people in New York that are very well versed in this system, as well as Piper has been very open to communications about this system. So if you guys have any questions about it, you can reach out to me. I can put you in touch with some people who have been involved and know more about it than I do. But just be aware that this is something that's out there. It is in compliance with the PMO, and we are probably going to see more of it in the future. Next slide. And again, and again. Okay. So another big change to the PMO was changes around AMIs, automatic milking systems. As many of you know, we had Appendix Q in the PMO that spoke directly to AMI systems, and that has gone away. With the 2019 PMO changes, we have adapted all of the Appendix Q sections into the main body of the PMO. So you'll now find all the AMI related information just blended in with the rest of the conventional dairy sections in Section 7 and Appendix H. This was done through Proposal 118, and again, if you want to read through the specifics of this change, you can dive right into the 2019 version of the PMO, or you can look into the IMSA 52, and it will give you some specifics about how those changes were made and incorporated into the body of the PMO. Next slide. And then just a couple, oh, go back. Just a couple of other things I wanted to mention here. The hauling committee has initiated a national hauler training and evaluation form update. Hopefully by next conference, they will be having some more information on this, but just know that they're working on this. There's going to be potentially a national-based training system for milk haulers that'll be online-based, that will bring some consistency to how the haulers are trained, and there may even be a nationalized exam, which will, again, provide consistency and efficiency across the country. Also, the evaluation form update is to reflect some changes that have happened over the last several years in regards to inline sampling, direct load systems, and other ways of hauling milk that have not been reflected in that evaluation form. So we look forward to those updates, and they're still in development, but hopefully we'll have more on that soon. Also, there's a rewrite committee for the methods document, the methods for making state sanitation ratings, the MMSR. So that will be in the works for the next conference. Again, to bring that document in updated and into line with the recent changes to the PMO. And finally, there's an exploratory committee that's been put together for the yogurt parfait question about whether manufacturers who co-pack or repackage yogurt into parfaits for food service and retail operations need to be IMS listed or not. There's some discrepancies among different states that handle them differently. So an exploratory committee has been formed, and they are going to work on some proposals that will hopefully come to the next conference. And just once again, I just wanted to remind you about the IMSA 52, has all those details, but also the 2019 version of the PMO is the last one that we will be providing print copies for to all of our state and regulatory partners. Starting with the 2021 version, only electronic copies will be made, and then printing will be the responsibility of those partners who want a printed copy. So hopefully this, I know we haven't received the 2019 printed versions, but I'm hoping that they will be shipped soon. I did get an email a couple of weeks ago that said they were nearly ready to be shipped. So hopefully those printed copies will be out in the field soon. But just a heads up for the next version, there will not be any printed copies. All right, next slide. And next. All right, I just wanted to go through a few upcoming dates. Next slide. again, this is relatively, we're going to hold this loosely because with COVID-19, we don't know what's going to happen next month, let alone next year. So we are tentatively planning some things, but again, we're going to have to just keep updated on some of this. But the one thing we do know is that all of our training for next year is going to be virtual. So this includes all of our plant and farm and special problems courses. They will all be virtual. We do have some tentative dates for them, but nothing is finalized yet. So as soon as I get some finalized dates, I will notify the state partners that we have, and hopefully we can sort through that as we go. But we had already been working on updating our training for our in-person courses, and we are now going to be pivoting to making that virtual. But based on what I've seen so far, I'm very excited about this. We have got some really exciting outside of the box stuff in the works, virtual tours, animations, videos, much more interactive stuff that I think will make it less painful because I can feel the collective groan of everybody saying one more virtual thing is not what they want. But that's the situation that we're in, and hopefully we can make it as interactive and engaging as possible. Next slide. We also have the NCIMS conference scheduled for next April 9th through 14th, 2021. As we speak today, there is a executive board meeting for the NCIMS executive board. And as of the last that I've heard, the plan was still to have it in person, but we will keep updated if any of that changes. But for now, these are the dates. It's going to be in Indianapolis, Indiana, so mark your calendars. Next slide. We also have the Eastern Milk Seminar coming up in October of next year, October 19th through 21st, 2021 in Nashville. This is also still scheduled to be in person. Again, the planning committee is monitoring closely everything, but as of right now, it's planning to be in person. So mark your calendars for that if you are planning to attend. And next slide. And next slide. So I just wanted to spend a few minutes talking about our new milk guidance system. We're calling it the GAMS system, Grade A Milk Search System. Now, the easiest way to get here, I will put the URL up, but the easiest way to get to this is to just go to your search engine and just type in FDA Grade A Milk Search or FDA GAMS, G-A-M-S, and it will be one of the first links that comes up. This is our attempt to make a searchable, much more user-friendly system for getting information out of here, out of the MIs, MAs, and MBs. So, for example, you can go to the next slide, Donna. If you were to look for something like you have, nope, go back. If you have a new magnetic flow meter in a plant and you want to check for the MB on that flow meter, you could go in here and search for the name of the magnetic flow meter or even the model number, and it would bring up, in theory, the MB. Now, Donna, I don't know if you want to try this or not, but I had planned to go and follow that URL and do an example walkthrough of how the system works. It should take you straight to the, like an internet browser, but if it's not gonna work, then that's fine. If I was sharing my screen, I had practiced walking through it, but anyway, the way that you would work it is where you have the search system in the upper left corner, that search bar, you would type in a keyword or a phrase, and then the system will run, and it will pull up any MA, MB, or MI that matches that keyword or phrase. I had run one this morning that I was going to do an example of on homeopathic drugs. And if you put homeopathic in the search bar here, it will pull up, I think it's 5 MIs or maybe 6. And you can then open the document straight from that page. And then if you do a Control F search, it will open up a search bar and it will take you straight to that section of the MI that talks about homeopathic drugs. It makes it much quicker to search for especially items that are in the Q&As, but also in the example of homeopathic drugs, it will also bring you to the MI specifically about drugs, MI 06-5, I think it is. I don't have it open right in front of me, but it is a very much long-awaited upgrade to our search system for the MIs. And I encourage all of you to go and look at that system and try it out and play around with it and see what information you can get out of there and how it works. If you find any bugs, because it is a relatively new system, please let me know. We are accepting any and all feedback, but I really would encourage you to go and experiment with it a little bit, because I think it'll be a very useful resource for everybody, both industry and SIMIs and state regulators alike. Okay, next slide. All right, next slide. So that's pretty much all we had. We did get started about 10 minutes early, but I just wanted to leave my contact info here for you. If you had any questions, I'm happy to go over some questions. I see there's some stuff in the chat there, but this is my contact information. Please feel free to reach out. I'm working from home primarily, but I'm available to answer questions, help you with the GAM system, answer questions about the upcoming trainings or issues you might be seeing in the field. So please feel free to reach out.
Good. Okay. Thanks, Amanda, for that. If you don't mind, we will take a little bit more time to address. Rebecca Piston would like to talk about the NCIMS pilot program. And so I'm going to, Becca, I've got you turned on. Can you hear?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great.
Hi.
Hey, Amanda, good morning. Great presentation. Thank you.
Good morning.
And I just wanted to clarify something on the pilot. I am on the liaison committee, and this has been a very interesting journey, if you will, and very confusing for everybody. So I just wanted to clarify that the only things that are excluded under the pilot are infant formula, 100% juice, fish, and low acid canned foods. So if a grade A listed facility is producing a non-grade A, like in your example, a soy beverage, that would still be included in the pilot. And we had a lot of discussion around this, but that was where it netted out in the end. So just to clarify for everybody.
Okay, thanks. I will double check and look into that. Again, it's been, you know, we had a lot of conversations about this leading up to February, and then we've basically not had much discussion of it since then. So I will look back in my notes and clarify that, but thank you for the clarification.
Sure, thank you for the presentation. Great job.
So I don't see, are there any other, oh, we've got a couple other, yeah, Rebecca clarified in the questions that the exclusions are baby food and juice. I was able to bring up the FDA website on my screen, and I think everybody can see that now. We did the homeopathic search that you talked about, Amanda. Do you want to delve into that a little bit more, or
Sure. So,
is there one to pick?
sure, if we have a few minutes. So on your end, you can see now that, you know, there's 5 MIs that come up when you search homeopathic. I would recommend that you start with the most recent one, because often you will find for certain issues that there has been a change or an update or an addition made to a previous answer in an MI. So, you know, if you just go to view document under action on the right, it will open the MI up into another tab in your browser.
Actually, mine just brings it up this way.
Oh.
Yep.
And so then you can, if it's a PDF, yeah, if it opens it up as a PDF, in mine it opens up as a like PDF within the browser, but if it opens as a PDF, then you would just do a search within that PDF to find homeopathic. And since mine is defaulted to the browser search, it takes about 10 seconds to just open up Control F homeopathic, and it takes you right there to that section of the MI. So I have found it very quick and useful. Yep, there you go. And then if you scroll down just a smidge, it will reference, whoops, not quite so much. You gotta go down.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So this one talks about homeopathic drugs as unapproved new animal drugs. This is a specific question asked about a whey product in a sterile vial with an injectable stopper. If you go to the next one on the website, I think it's MI 13 something. There was another one, the one right below that came up in the search. That has a different question asked that also brings you to the MI. It references another MI. The point that I'm trying to get at is often historically you go into these Q&As, and in the Q&A it will reference another Q&A or another MI, and then you have to go and search for that. In this way, see here, this one references MI 06-5 right here in the answer. If you go back to the GAMS system, MI 06-5 will be in one of those 5 results, and you can quickly bounce back to MI 06-5 or come back to this Q&A, and it makes it so much faster to bounce around and get that information from multiple different sources without having to go back into that full list, search for the full MI, find out if it's online or not online, and if you can get the PDF or you can't get the PDF. And this works for all different kinds of things. Now, the only caveat I'll say is if you go back to the GAMS page for a second, Donna, there's on the search on the left.
Just a second.
Yep, no problem. So over here on the upper left where the search bar is, you have at the very top, enable phrase match. If you are going to be searching for something that is multiple words, for example, I was looking up variable speed agitators on vat pasteurizers the other day because I had a question come in. If you enable that phrase match, it will give you fewer results, because if you disable, just for example purposes, now you only have 2 results. If you go to disable that enable phrase match and then search again, it's going to come up with 21. And you would then potentially have to go through and look at each of those to find the one that you're looking for, because this is just like in any search engine, it's looking for those 3 words individually. So if you have a specific thing in mind, just play around with it and see with the enable phrase match, because it will help you narrow your results down quite a bit. Also, in the advanced section there, you can search, if you have a specific MI that you're looking for, you can put the document code in there, you can put the issue date in, you can put the type of MI, and you can see across the top there, you have different search results. So even under variable speed agitators, you have 35 MBs that may be applicable. You have 21 MIs, and you have 10 IMSAs that mention variable speed agitators. So it gives you the different types of documents that it may be mentioned in, and then it allows you to tab through the different types of documents as well as open them directly from that page.